You've changed, Bilbo Baggins. You're not the same Hobbit as the one who left the Shire.
Martin, if there is a progression to Bilbo's character through these three films, at what stage is he at in film 2?
Film 2 is kind of Corleone late 50s, that kind of thing, or mid 50s, I would say. He has to do things that he has to do. He doesn't necessarily take pleasure in them at this point, but he does it to protect his family, or in Bilbo's case, his friends.
You seek that which would bestow upon you the right to rule. The quest to reclaim a homeland and slay a dragon.
As a bit of a modern soul boy, how did you relate to this kind of big prog rock fantasy world?
It's funny, I remember seeing, I think in that Oil City Confidential, the Dr. Feelgood film, there was an old clip of Wilko Johnson saying exactly that, like, rock and roll should be, it's not about hobbits, it's about I thought, oh yeah. And so it is a bit more Wakeman-esque, I suppose. But I really liked Pete's original trilogy of Lord of the Rings. A story is a story, and yes, it is a bit more prog rock. It's not very blue note jazz, that's for sure, but I do what I can. There's bits of Velvet in there, but he's got a little scarf, but I tried.
You're changing it from the inside?
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking the Trojan horse approach, yeah.
The king has never let Orcfield roam our lands, yet he would let this orc pack cross our borders and kill our prisoners.
It is not our fight.
It is our fight. It will not end here. With every victory, this evil will grow.
What was Tolkien's problem with women, do you think?
I think his problem was that he was writing in the 1930s. I actually think he wrote remarkably good and strong female characters when he wrote for females. But in the 1930s, it just wasn't, women weren't included in story in that way, and women weren't even included in life in that way. And I think you can actually see him evolve in his writing. In his later writings, you see a lot more of his embellishment on the female characters come out. And I feel like maybe it's too presumptuous to say that I, could possibly know what Tolkien might have been thinking, but it feels like he almost wished he could go back and rewrite the stories and infuse them with more female characters.
You were a big fan of the books when you were a child. When you were reading them as a kid, though, did you not think, I wish there were more girls in this?
That's the tragedy of what women deal with in story and in media, is that we have become desensitized to it. So as a little girl, it never occurred to me that there were no female characters in the story. I imagined that there were. In my imaginary world, in my mind, while I was reading the book, when it said the Sylvan Elves, there was tons of female elves all over the place, but they're not written into it. And I don't know whether that's just what young women get used to doing, or young girls get used to doing, is putting them in their mind, or if we just get used to the idea that we aren't relevant. And I think that's one of the reasons we really had to make that distinction in this film, is because that's not a message we want to send little girls and young women, and women of all ages really watching these films. Women are relevant to story, and they can be heroes too.
Was that an earthquake?
That, my lad, was a dragon.
How do you go about playing a character like Smaug? Is it important to find a kind of human dimension there?
I think so, because it's very much there in the books, and I think that's why these stories still sort of resonate generations on from when they originated, in the sense of him writing in his context of, world about to collapse into war again, and all the parables and metaphors there are in the original book of that. And so the venality, the greed, the pride, the sort of charisma of him at the beginning as well, when he's being very sort of psychologically psychotic, if that's the phrase, trying to get under the skin and the mindset of this irritant who's coming to steal from him. And obviously they're writ large, and their stuff, they're very, very negative, but they are sort of human characteristics. So that was the starting point for voicing him, because this mythical creature who breathes fire and flies and is the size of the Empire State Building, and a basic kind of napalm bomb writ large in a serpentine form, speaks English.
I found something in the Goblin tunnels.
Found what? What did you find?
My carriage.
If Bilbo is on this kind of heroic journey that he's kind of growing into. Is there a danger he's going to go too far in the third one? That he's going to be just this kind of mad badass?
But I tried to convince Pete that that's what it should be. That he should be like Bad Lieutenant, just drowning in his own urine and lust.
Well, that's the Corleone journey.
It is, yeah, ends up, yeah. It was not what I wanted. No, he stays Bilbo. So by the time Bilbo returns home, sorry, that's a spoiler for people who don't know. By the time he gets home, he's still very much that person. You know, you do see it's the same person but deeply changed in the way that, you know, without labouring the point. Tolkien went to war in the First World War, and how could that not change a person? Any war, any sort of thing where you're being shot at or shooting people, is going to bring about a change in you, and that certainly happens for Bilbo. But he's still recognisably him.